Hello and welcome to the Weekend Spread. I'm your host, Bobby Howard, presenting you our picks for this final weekend of the regular season. We've finally reached the end. And folks, we, believe it or not, are tied. Yes, me, Blake, and Ty have all went 5-3. Jameson, an abysmal 3-5. Which means we're all 53 and 56. Just chilling below 500. It's a tough spot, but you know what? I kind of love it. It's perfectly produced. I'm ready to go. Jameson, how did you?
Weeks.
What's that?
It's this week and the next week, and we're done, right? We don't do bowls.
Bowls do not count for the weekend spreads.
Yeah.
So
we'll still pick them. Listeners, don't worry. We're still gonna pick.
Oh, we'll pick them. The bowl picks are one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite shows of the year.
Podcast? Are we going to record a podcast?
Of course we'll do a bowl podcast.
We recorded a podcast for Pole Assassin and the Monkey. We are going to record about bowl games.
Yeah, we're going to pick the bowls. Yeah, we will pick the bowls. So, Jameson, how'd you blow the lead? You were in the pole position for like the past 5 weeks.
If history says anything, I've said this in the past many times, don't pick with emotion. Then I picked very blatantly and said it out loud. I picked with emotion. And Wyoming went out and smashed poor Utah State that I knew nothing about. That one was just a little stab of the dagger. And then the Oregon pick just made me feel really stupid too. So just a bad week for me last week. And the one thing I can hang my hat on is I feel like I hit the Texas Tech Oklahoma State thing on the absolute head. The Texas Tech's offense was like so potent versus versus Iowa State the week before, and then with 1 week of scouting, they were nothing versus Oklahoma State's defense. So I'll hang my hat on that. But other than that, I made some stupid decisions.
It happens to the best of us. Blake, how'd you feel about your slate last week?
Hey, I felt coming out pretty good. There was 2 things last episode that I was super passionate about. The Dave Aranda being better than Chris Kleiman, which was obviously the easiest side of a take to be on. I know K-State was favored, but we had a backup quarterback duel. But I don't know where Bobby was going with that one. So came out on top there. And screw those guys down in San Diego. San Diego State sucks. I know they won the game. They didn't cover the spread, though, which is all that matters with UNLV. You don't get many wins, but you got to cover the spread, and we covered it last week. So I'm proud of my Revs. Screw the Aztecs. They have a chance this week to possibly lose the Mountain West. The way they do the divisions of the Mountain West sucks. One's named Mountain, the other one's named West, and so it makes it like the Mountain West.
No
Mountain.
way, really?
Yes,
You're kidding me.
No, one is named the Mountain and the other is named the West. So I don't know. I think they're in the Mountain West, but
Mountain West is like not a conference name. It's like a corporate. It's like Waystar Royco. It's like a corporate conglomerate name.
I thought it couldn't get worse than Big 12 legends and leaders whenever they had that crap.
Oh, that was Big 10. Don't voice that. Don't voice that on the Shield.
Big 10.
I was about to say
we just had North and South.
Yep.
Blake's over here trying to disparage the Shield with false information.
Yeah, so we got the Mountain West Mountain and the Mountain West West, but I think San Diego State has a chance to lose the Mountain West West this week, which would be very nice. And yeah, we could have a potential Air Force in the Mountain West championship as well, I think. So.
Oh, and I know Ty would be pumped about that. So Ty, your Harvard pick of Harvard minus 5.5 minus 14. The range of that did not hit it. as their Harvard Crimson won by only 3. Even
made up a spread that was wildly inaccurate, and it still didn't hit.
The actual spread was like 4 when it came.
Do we have news on this? I'll try to find it.
What?
Yeah,
no,
the actual spread came out. It was a big game.
You said 5.5 on the show, and I just put Harvard minus 5.5 minus 14.
I committed to that line because I was just sort of coming up with my own one. Yeah, so
it really should have just been 5.5 then, because minus 14, I don't know.
In retrospect, yes, there's no reason to stipulate 5.5 because then presumably they could have won by 15, and per my own statements, even though technically they would have covered minus 5.5, I still would have gained a loss because I committed to a hard range. But I think that was part of me like just sort of trying to deduce my own line. But I do want to say, last week, I have no one to blame but myself. I might be wrong on some of the picks, but at least I'm self-aware. Texas, a little spoiler alert, I've kind of committed myself to just riding that train until it's right, much like I've done my Kansas 2 wins this season pick. Michigan State, that one, I should have I lost that one, obviously. I should have known better, because if you listen to my comments, I was saying, oh yeah, Ohio State will blow them out big. And, I've been really down on Michigan State all year, so I'm not really sure in retrospect why I took that one. And then wild cards, I just don't hit wild cards this year. So that's how it is. But it is anyone's game right now, and I'm so excited for that.
Yeah, I love it. So we all got to be on our A game. I faded Cincinnati at the exact wrong time as SMU got the doors blown off of them. But, I don't know. That's in the past. We're all tied up. I've clawed my way back from the just cellar of this competition. So let's get to the actual picks, shall we? Okay, so we did a random number generator since we're all tied, and Jameson will go first, followed by Blake, followed by Ty, and then myself. Ironically, this is the picking order we've basically had all season long, but it didn't matter. So let's start us off with one of our favorite games of the year, the Egg Bowl. Ole Miss favored by 1. This is your Thanksgiving night college football. I really miss Texas A&M, because that should be the king of this, but no, we get stuck with the Egg Bowl and all the madness of it. Jameson, are you going to be watching the Egg Bowl, or are you going to be watching some late night Cowboys or whatever that weird NFL Network game is?
I think it's the Saints playing somebody for the NFL game.
Saints Bills.
The night game. Yeah, so that's a good game. I'm going to have both of them on, going back and forth, because this is an interesting game. Obviously, we love to talk about this Egg Bowl because we have 2 wonderful head coaches on both sides, with Leach and Kiffin. And it's honestly, the way Mississippi State's been playing recently is kind of eye-opening. The game versus Auburn, the way they ended that game. And since then, obviously they played a cupcake after that, but since that time, I've thought of Mississippi State in a different light. And Ole Miss on the other end, they only beat Vandy by 14 last week, and that concerns me. I'm going to go Mississippi State here at home in a rivalry game, and I think we get some great quotes from Leach in the post-game interview talking about Thanksgiving.
I can't wait for that one. Blake, who do you got?
I'm on the exact opposite side. This just seems like, I don't know the stats to back this up, but it just seems like Ole Miss wins this game every year. I just rarely, I feel like, see Mississippi State win this game anymore. And it's just one of those things that, when that perception, these are 2 great teams, and especially when you're basically choosing them at a pick 'em, I just got to go with the team that dominates the rivalry. And some of the stats back it up. Ole Miss, obviously, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, they're offensive juggernauts. They like to throw the ball. They like to run fast-paced offenses, but the one thing that's going to be the difference here is defense, and I immediately looked to that, and Ole Miss has a significantly better pass rush and a significantly better coverage grade than Mississippi State, and that's all I need to know with a 1-point spread in a rivalry game when you're kind of having to nitpick. I'm going with the team that wins all the time and has the better defense. Give me Ole Miss.
Okay. Ty, as mentioned a billion times and probably doesn't need to be mentioned again, this is an old in-state rivalry for you. Who do you got?
Yeah, so I love – you can't not love Leach. And I love to see, him being really supported by the fan base there. I've been, obviously through social media, very connected with a lot of people there and a lot of big State fans, and he started off really hot, if we're going to turn the clock back, to beating LSU, right after they had won the national championship. Obviously they lost all the players, coaches, but that was really big for him, really electric to go in there as one of his first games and do that. So that was a good start. Out of theirs, sort of, I don't want to say fallen off, because now he's having a more realistic sort of start at a program. But it certainly doesn't seem like, and obviously if you go on message boards or whatever else, those are always going to be crazy. But the general fan base ideal, as I'm seeing it, is they're being really supportive of him actually really getting to develop his system and culture there, which takes a few years. Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin, another. How do you? Well, I can see why a lot of people would not like or love Lane Kiffin, but he's just so college football. Like he's so college football meta. It's just this game is something that sounds like if you were to describe this game and the two coaches and everything coming in, it would sound like you're describing a Will Ferrell movie. This could very easily, John C. Reilly could play Lane Kiffin and Will Ferrell could play Mike Leach, and you can make an amazing Egg Bowl movie with stuff like people peeing like dogs and getting penalties at the end of the game, stuff that it would be in a movie and people would be like, yeah, that would never happen, but it happens at the Egg Bowl on Thanksgiving Day, which is really big. All that sort of backstory being said, because I can't give you analysis like the ESPN and even some of the other guys on this pod can, but I like Kiffin. I like Corral or Coral, however you say it. And I think Ole Miss has this one outright. So give me the Rebs here. Or I swear that was not a bit, and I'm not trying to get us canceled. Give me Ole Miss here.
They are still the Rebels. They are still
call them the Rebels.
Oh, we can still call them that.
Yeah,
we can still call them that. Okay.
It's a trap.
Give me the Rebs. give me old Colonel Reb.
Okay, well, no, don't mention Colonel Reb. That's a step too far. No. Okay. Anyways, look.
Oh, I got it mixed up. Give me the Oxford, Mississippi football team.
There you go. I love it. This is a tough one. It really is a toss-up because both of these teams, I feel like Mississippi State has been the more inconsistent side. But I don't know because this game is so wild. Like we've mentioned, you really never know what happens, and it's hard to pick against a home. Maybe not even a dog, but like a toss-up. It's nice to go with the home team. But on the other hand, I feel like Ole Miss has been a better team. Their only blemish other than Alabama has been to the Bo Nix Auburn team, and I don't want to judge these teams based on what they've done against a Bo Nix-less Auburn versus an Auburn with Bo Nix. So I'm just gonna go with the home side and go with the Pirate and Mississippi State. So we have ourselves a nice little Egg Bowl split. Love it. So
this is the one to watch. Not to demean anyone's passion for the cringe consumerist NFL, but this is pure sport right here. They get paid, but it's pure hatred and passion.
Oh yeah, no, this is just such a fun game, and the stakes, you don't even need good stakes. You just let them go out there and do some weird stuff. The only thing that matters is beating that other side, and that's at its essence what makes a good rivalry. Talking about another good rivalry where the stakes are very high and the hatred is also very high. We have the game, Ohio State, Michigan. The Buckeyes favored by 7.5 against their hated rivals. By the way, all lines provided by DraftKings Sportsbook. Use promo code TPPN. Got great promo codes there. So the Buckeyes just blew out Michigan State. Now they face their a Harbaugh team who still looking for their first big win in this matchup. And frankly, I'm just gonna be honest. I don't see it. Ohio State's clicking. I know they're a different team on the road than they are at home, but like I've said, until I see it out of Jim Harbaugh and the Wolverines, I'm not gonna pick them. 7.5 just seems like too little for an explosive Ohio State offense, and I don't know. I think at this point in the season, this close to the final goal, I don't see Ryan Day and the Buckeyes slipping up. I think they win this one handily. But I also hope I'm wrong a little bit because I don't know. Michigan winning this one would be really cool. So, but at the same time, this is a close competition, and you don't go with your heart, you go with your head. So give me the Bucs to cover 7.5. Ty?
Yeah, I have this line makes sense because it's a rivalry game, and all that other stuff. So I don't disagree with the 7.5, especially because I think it's a juicy line to really dive in on. But yeah, I like the Bucks here. I think it's a pretty obvious choice. We kind of talked about it a little bit earlier in the week for the listeners, with the OU and the OSU thing is okay. Saying, oh, we have the past history. Past performance is not indicative of future results. I think a lot of people get that sort of beaten into them. Well, not beaten, but drilled into their heads in school. And it should, is a rightful thing. But when we talked about it in Bedlam, we talked about, oh, you'll win because they've been better. When this year Oklahoma State is on paper the better team and is the favorites. This game, that's not the case. Ohio State, markedly better team, I believe, than Michigan. And they're coming in as the favorites, and they're the expectant winners, especially when we're talking about Ryan Day, Mr. Beaver from Narnia, matched up against Harbaugh. He looks like Mr. Beaver from Narnia. Listeners, you're going to have to pull that up on your own. But if I had access to the social medias, I'd throw up side by side. But yeah, give me the Buckeyes
gave us
here.
The password.
Yeah, I'm not going to go that far back in the text. But and I still have that. Florida meme that's just waiting to drop. But give me the helmet stickers here. I think they got this against the Wolverines. I've never seen a Wolverine with 3 yellow stripes on its head, so I still don't understand.
There's Mr. Beaver for comparison, by the way.
Yeah, but yeah, give me helmet stickers. Big Nut, I think, is going to have a good weekend.
Big, gotta love Big Nut. There you go. Blake, who do you got in the game?
So I'm a scared little boy. I tried to find every way to pick Michigan in this game. I really did, because I just want to see the big powers of college football fall this year. And we kind of got it a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's kind of shaping up where it probably isn't. We're going to have some pretty consistent teams that are going to be the playoffs, Ohio State probably being one of them. So I was really wanting to choose Michigan. And honestly, if you look at their grades, very similarly graded teams, but I just feel like Ohio State decided to flip a switch in the last few weeks and decided to become the team that we thought they were going to be at the beginning of the season. There might not be the best defensive team, but offensive juggernaut. And Michigan hasn't played a team like that. I know their defense is good, but when your defense is good against teams like your Michigan States or Indiana's, your Nebraskas, those aren't explosive teams. In the Big Ten, you don't have any other team that's explosive besides maybe Purdue, and that's even the closest comp to Ohio State. And it's just Ohio State's so explosive. They have so many weapons that even if the defense is just piss poor, they're Michigan doesn't have the offensive talent to just run up the score on them and get in a shootout. So I just got to go Ohio State just because, if you bet Michigan this game, and even what the numbers are saying that they're really close and even teams, you're just going to feel like an idiot if Ohio State beats them by 28.
And I feel like mentally Ohio State just has the edge. They come into this game every year and just obliterate Michigan. I don't know. It's a mindset thing. Jameson, who do you got?
Yeah, I hate to make it chalk, but Ohio State, I think, run away with it. I think they win by double digits, and I think C.J. Stroud becomes the household name in Heisman. He's already a very good favorite right now, but he becomes the talking point of the Heisman Trophy after this weekend.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I see that. Moving on to a game that had a lot more luster a couple weeks ago when I made the slate, the Iron Bowl. Alabama, 19.5-point favorite on the road. And I think a lot of this has to do with Bo Nix. After Bo Nix has gone down, Auburn has looked awful. Lost last week to South Carolina. They've just been absolutely sputtering. Brian Harsin rumors of him leaving for Washington have been circulating. So it's a really, really rough time for Auburn, But at the same time, it's an odd-year team. Weird things happen at Jordan Hare. Jameson, how are you feeling about this game?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough for me because at the same time, Alabama has shown some weaknesses too. They're still in a dogfight with Arkansas last week. And but I just can't get over how Auburn did not do well playing South Carolina. I understand it's a big deal with Shane Beamer getting bowl eligible, and he's very proud of them. But that team in South Carolina this season is just kind of meh. And so losing to them, I feel like is kind of just really negative, and I'm very recency biased right now to that. So I'm going to go Alabama on this end.
I'm getting weird with it. All the numbers are saying Alabama, and you don't, as the saying goes, you don't get rich betting against Bama. But you know what? There's one stat that matters. The last 5 home teams in this rivalry have won the game. And it's just too many points in a rivalry that's weird. And Auburn's been good, but also not good enough to have that stat even exist in the first place. And I understand Brian Harsin. Brian Harsin's probably going to be a 2-year coach. He's probably going to be out after 2 years. The recruiting sucks. I just don't think he was the right pick there. But regardless of that, I think they can keep it close enough here. I just think this game is a weird game, and I just gotta trust that Alabama, kind of the weaker Alabama side that we've seen, that Auburn can at least even a little bit of a backdoor, but maybe even keep it close in the first half or something to make this number a little bit reasonable. I think this is a good time if you wanted to, which is weird, but if you wanted to buy low on Auburn, this is a perfect time where you have your backup quarterback off of a bad loss versus the South Carolina team that was honestly juiced up, and we've seen is not horrible. They beat Florida, which doesn't say much, but they're willing to get up in those situations. So give me Auburn. I want the points. This game is too weird to be laying 19.5 all over the place. So I might regret this, but you know what? Auburn, give it to me. I want it.
Okay. Ty, who do you got?
19.5 is a lot of points. It's a lot of points. And with what I'm going to say here, it's still, I'm apprehensive about 19.5. Bama, I think, is obviously kind of disappointing, but it is hilarious to me that a team having one loss, being ranked second in the nation, and losing a very close game to a very, fundamentally sound team that is known to be a difficult place to play, that's a really well-coached team as well. It's funny to me, and it's very indicative, that we're looking at this Bama team and saying, wow, yeah, Bama's really disappointing this year. They have won by pretty small margins for what we expect of them. But again, it's expectations. Auburn, I don't see it. They're really the only thing that has me apprehensive. It doesn't even matter that they're playing at Jordan Hare. It's just 19.5 is a lot. I don't think that's even really a realistic line. I think 14.5 would be a more competitive line, but I'm not even breaking 500 this year, so what do I know? But I really like the Tide here. I think they are still a very good team. They're better coached easily. And I understand there's, past performances or weird voodoos, the home team covers or wins or whatever this amount of time. But I think the smart move here is take the Tide. You don't, like Blake said, people say you don't get rich going against the Tide. Yeah, that's how it goes. If you want to surf the wave, you got to ride the tide.
Boo.
Okay. That's why we get paid the big bucks. Good lines like that.
I'm siding with the captain on this one because
yes,
fools.
Look, this will be Alabama's 4th road game. In their previous road games, they beat Florida by 2. They fired their coach. They lost to Texas A&M. And then murdered Mississippi State, who, let's be honest, shouldn't be on the field with Alabama. Now, what did I do? What's wrong?
You just picked them versus Ole Miss earlier, so
yeah.
I mean,
I don't think they.
It wouldn't be the Scooter Pod without just terribly contradictory,
just blatant hypocrisy. 2 picks later.
Look, fair enough. But they were mad after the A&M thing, and they blew up on Mississippi State. So that's good. They had one good performance, arguably probably their best performance of the season against Mississippi State. So, all right. I'm just saying. I think this environment is going to be ramped up to the next level. You just got this weird sort of vibe around this program where it seems like there's they're almost too dead, that they're going to wake up and kind of bite the tide. I don't think they win, but I think 19.5 in a rivalry game is a lot. So give me Auburn to keep this thing close, get weird with it. And yeah, no, I don't know. No Bo Nix. I don't want to say no problem because they haven't won a game, since he's been hurt. But I don't know. They seem too dead to really think that they're not going to kind of try to bite back in a big rivalry game like this. So yeah, I don't know if that makes any sense, but I'm moving on to the next game. We got a Friday game. K-State at Texas. The Horns favored by 2. And honestly, we want to talk about some dead teams. Texas is big dead. They are very dead. And not only that, but they have a horrible track record against Kansas State, who I believe is still a sneaky good team. They looked bad against Baylor. They had their tough moments. But you know what? I think they go on the road and beat a just lifeless corpse of a cow that Texas is. And the Horns go walking off into the offseason with no bowl and just completely demoralized. So give me K-State to finish strong. Get a dub here. Ty?
Yeah, okay. I talked about at the start of the pod how I've sort of committed myself to this Texas line, but I do like Texas here. They've got to turn it around at some point. I'm not going to get into, debates about who's a better, coach or whatever, because I will just inevitably say, unprofessional. Well, we're not really professionals, but I'll say immature things about Sark as a person, and attack his sort of demons, which is a fair tactic, but that's not how I'm feeling today. I like the Horns here. They're in Austin. Certainly, let's just talk like college football, like random magic, voodoo, or whatever, because that's what is to love about college football, is that sort of mystique about it, the Sooner magic, the luck or whatever. There's no way that Texas loses to both Kansas teams in Austin in the same year. So give me the Horns here. If it happens, it happens. But I'll take that loss. I'm feeling good about the tiebreaker so far, especially with 2 guys picking Auburn and stuff like that. So I'll risk a loss here and give me the Horns.
Texas hasn't covered since week 5, and they technically pushed, I would like to say. Blake, who do you got?
I just got to take K-State. There's no way I'm taking a team that is just so lost. It really has no identity right now. And like hearing the rumors and seeing the message boards and stuff of players just partying during the week and just kind of taking their full ride scholarship, enjoying the college experience, it really doesn't care about the image of Texas and what the Texas football brand stands for. I don't want to back a team that doesn't really care at the end of the day what happens to their team, that they're just there to have some fun. I think K-State actually, like, they are a solid team that gets up for every single game. I don't think they're elite by any means, not like Bobby last week trying to make them the cream of the crop, Chris Kleinman to LSU or USC, but I think like they are a solid team. They're fundamentally sound like they've always been, and that's going to be troublesome versus a team that has quarterback issues with both of their quarterbacks. Kind of one described to me, one with the noodle arm, the other one looking like Bambi in the backfield, just trying to run around not to get shot. Like they're both bad. Like they're both really bad. No Bijan. Like there's just nothing to like about this Texas team anymore. But it scares me. Like it scares me when UT's still a favorite, even with all this crap we've been hearing that they're still a favorite at home versus a very quality K-State team. But I just can't. So I can sleep at night, I need to back K-State.
Jameson?
Yeah, I'm itching to pick Texas, but I'm just going to go with my head because, like I said, when I go away from my head, bad things happen. So this is the reason. I think Blake hit on this. So Texas players, they're just going to give up. This is their last game of the season, and there's no chance So I know players do this where they just give up and walk out and they don't even care and they just call it. Probably not even practice this week. And then on the other side of that as well, the coach is pretty much given up on the most important position on that team. That's quarterback. He's already talking about next year of who might start, and they might take a freshman starter. They might take a transfer. Quinn Ewers, he's talking to you up in Ohio State. Like, he's already thinking about next season. So I don't think I can pick a team like that. So I see why they're favored, but I don't think that they're going to show up at all in this game.
Fair enough. I mean that I would be pretty checked out myself with all that. So
I heard even Bijan might. There's rumors that even Bijan might transfer at the end of the offseason and go somewhere else. Like, they're in a bad place.
Tough, man.
That's
good.
Because Sark said
so bad.
Because Sark is saying in press conferences they're bringing in 30 to 35 guys this offseason. So that's recruiting class plus transfers. That's a lot of guys they're replacing. Like, that is how bad they are in. They're replacing basically half a football roster.
That's pretty big. I hadn't heard that, but I'm surprised. Not that it's happening, but I'm surprised that he would say that, with games left on the slate.
Well, I mean, honestly, with how his team has been, I don't care. Throw him out at this point.
Yeah.
That entire program is such a just shit show.
I will say, and then we can move on. I kind of appreciate the Texas tactic of just, who cares? Let's just completely focus on SEC launch, and if we have to sacrifice games or a season now, to bring in people and develop people, who cares who we lose? Let's just focus on that sort of pending deadline. I do like that tactic. It's bold.
I will say,
it's
but
bold.
What my biggest fear for Texas fans is, I think Texas brought in Sark not as a rebuilder of the program, but it was more of they're getting kind of the talent that they want, and he's just going to fine-tune it and make them a national title, like, playoff contender, or just even somewhere close. But I would be worried if I'm a Texas fan that Sark took this job kind of to fine-tune it and now needs to do a full-blown rebuild, which he hasn't been able to do before. Like, that takes a certain type of skill set. So I would be a little bit worried, especially for Texas fans and then also people working in the Texas athletic director's office. Like, is Sark your guy to rebuild an entire program basically from the ground up before you get to the SEC? Because it's going to be really rough once you get to the SEC and you're competing with those brands.
Yeah, and I mean, especially, I'm with you, because I think a lot of people thought the problem was Herman. That they had everything ready to go. That you had the Ferrari, you just needed some gas and someone to not hit the brakes. Well, it turns out to just be it's an old jalopy. It's the Ramblin' Wreck like at Georgia Tech. But, the wheels are busted and you're going off a cliff, which it's I know the car metaphors are played out, but good Lord, it's going to be a lot for Sark. And, at Texas, there are no easy answers. And that is the last thing you need from a program that is constantly demanding easy answers and constantly demanding instant success. So it's going to be a long off season and a long road for Texas. They don't even have an Alamo Bowl win to be excited about to push them into next season. I mean, they physically cannot get there. So let's move on with our picks. Enough about Texas. We have the TCU Horned Frogs traveling to Ames on a Friday night. Frogs are a 14-point underdog. Iowa State favored by 14. Jameson, it's been a rough season for Iowa State, but they can still be champions of life. They can still be the best Cyclones they can be. Do Brock Purdy, Breece Hall, and Charlie Kolar ride off into the sunset with a big win here?
I've got it to pick before I make this pick. Screw TCU for coming out and not starting and starting Max Duggan. Screw y'all, Blake, because if I would have known that was going to happen, I would have stayed far, far away from this TCU team. They went out and put up a good old dud that whole game. Did not like that at all. So I'm going Iowa State. This is a spite pick, and you know what spite picks do to me.
And for me, it's the opposite. It's a hope pick. It's hope. We can still make a bowl game. We can still make a bottom tier bowl game if we win this. I don't see it happening, but I just pray. Like, we have a future for the listeners who don't follow TCU football, which is understandable. We are probably next Monday going to announce Sonny Dykes being our head coach, which has gotten a mixed reaction. I'm more on the excited side. Some people aren't, but we're also a small program, and you got to take what you can get. You can't get all the big names, so I'm fine with it. But guys will play for the roster spots, for the ones that want to stay, and so hopefully we just get a scrappy performance, maybe a win. That would be awesome. I want to go to a weird bowl, so I would love going to a weird bowl. I don't. I could.
No, they're not good
We're
enough
not
for
even
the
good enough
Cheez-It.
to even be in the Cheez-It. I think the problem is when we played
Tony the
Cal in
Tiger.
the Cheez-It, it was still kind of a lower tier bowl. And we were like maybe I think 7-5 that year, but like now it's like kind of upgraded that they started putting some better teams in it. We need the Cheez-It Bowl to be consistent. If you're not 6-6 or 5-7 and get the weird exemption, get the hell out of there. We want to see the weird teams. We want either some Maction type teams or we want some bad Power 5 teams. But I would love a bowl game. So give me the Frogs.
Yeah,
It's all about hope.
The Cheez-It Bowl got moved from that old Insight Bowl slot to the Russell Athletic Bowl, that sort of like deal. It completely moved to Orlando. So now it's like the Big 12's fourth option, I believe. Fourth or third, depending on playoff appearances, that sort of deal. Mm-hmm. So it's looking probably like an Iowa State, a K-State, maybe. So
That's
we'll see how that...
fun.
No. So Frogs looking like they're floating around like the Guaranteed Rate Bowl or the Liberty Bowl. So
that's what I like to hear. How do you make it as a 5-7 school? How is that? Do y'all know?
I think weirdly enough, tiebreaker is like academics. I seem to remember academics being a tiebreaker, so that's good for the Frogs. Texas Bowl could be an option, I think. I think you're looking around Texas Bowl, Liberty Bowl. You might be stuck with a first responder or play a home game in the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl, which
I wouldn't mind that. I would actually enjoy that because then I could go to it. But yeah, if it's academics, we stand a chance. I don't know if we would stand that much of a chance, but it could be.
All right, yeah. Enough about TCU's bowl prospects. Let's move on. Ty, who do you got?
Yeah, I don't even really have any analysis here. I like the Cyclones. They played us well. They have been disappointing this year, but they're still fundamentally a decent team, I think. TCU, I hope they recover. I really do. And I'm not just saying that because Blake's here. I enjoy purple, one of my favorite colors, because it's like blue and red are some of my favorite colors, and that's a combination of them. But yeah, give me the Frogs. I do love Fort Worth.
You're picking who? I thought you said you were picking.
No, I'm picking Iowa State. Yeah, but I just don't want TCU fans to be offended because I do like purple and I do like Fort Worth, particularly that one restaurant. I forget what it's called. Downtown.
That's specific.
Very specific.
Yeah, it's something with a C.
Very specific.
It's something with a C that have good steaks.
Okay.
Capitol Grill?
No, it's not Capitol Grill. I'll think of it.
Okay. This podcast.
This man said, give me TCU because of the colors.
No, I
After you already picked Iowa State.
I like purple because red and blue make purple.
Okay.
This is why y'all listen.
No one can debate that red and blue are just like Chad colors. Like those are like some of the like superior like colors.
They're pretty elite. I mean,
purple's a combination of them. So best of both worlds, maybe.
Some would argue that red and blue are like the top two primary colors. Nobody likes bitch ass yellow. Yellow's an easy third, but red and blue, those are pretty good primary colors.
Programming note: Del Frisco's. I don't know why I thought it had a C.
C. You know Del Frisco's is not like a uniquely Fort Worth thing, right?
No, I know. Yeah, no, it's a consumerist chain restaurant, but the Fort Worth one specifically has a good manager.
Okay.
Good bars, I guess.
See, I personally like going to the local establishment, the Texas Roadhouse. Very, very great stuff. Only can get it in Texas. Don't know if y'all know that. But
It's getting bad. We need to get
Okay,
going.
next one.
that was obviously sarcasm. All right.
Yes.
Okay, I haven't made my pick yet. I think Iowa State and Brock Purdy have a really big bounce back. It's going to be I assume a night game because it's Friday, and I think they get a big win at home. That crowd really lifts them up. They've been a different team in Ames, and I think they get a big win against TCU.
Oh,
I
it's a
think they cover
3:30 game,
14.
Bobby.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's
jeez.
I like how we shot from the hip on like an easily Googleable thing.
Okay, well, it's gonna get dark or something in Iowa. I don't know. Give me the Cyclones
Oh,
anyways.
here
They're
comes
gonna get
Bobby
covered.
with the weather again.
It's not the wet. The sun is not the wet. I mean, it kind of is the weather, but it's
What are
darker.
you talking about? The sun's not the weather.
The sun.
Weather. It is.
It-
It
the
literally
sun-
generates all of our weather. Like it is the focal point of the weather. Is
There's
whether
also
we have
wind.
sun or not.
There's also wind
Yes, but
and
there's
like clouds.
Yes, of course there's other stuff, but the sun is what legitimately makes weather.
That doesn't make
that
the
is
sun not part
But
of
what
it.
about the moon? The moon can
Let-
do some tide stuff.
Without
Alright,
clouds and wind, there is still weather. But without the sun, there is no weather. Literally,
without
it
the
just-
sun, we're
it's
all
just-
dead.
Okay,
Exactly.
the real question
That's
is
how it
whether or
is.
not
It's the weather.
we're going to cut this off and just move on to the next one.
No, we're keeping this in. This is great, even though it makes me look like a massive dumbass, which I am.
It's like Bobby. For all those OG fans last year, the first game of the week in fall, Bobby said Michigan traveling to Minnesota, the cold weather was going to get to them. It was like a nice, 65-degree night, and Michigan is just as north as Minnesota. So we are at that level of Bobby trying to predict weather patterns.
And I believe
very dumb.
Michigan whooped them, didn't they?
Yeah,
They did.
Yeah.
They did. All right, let's move on. Hey, I'm still tied with all of you, which means you're equally as dumb as
Yeah,
me.
that's true. That's true.
I say to the medical school student and the lawyer. Moving on.
Damn, you gonna hit Ty like that?
For the 25-year-old sophomore
I'm sorry, Ty.
who skipped class today because he just wasn't feeling it. Yeah.
Hey, I wish I could. I wish I could do the same right now. Moving on, we got the Butt Bowl, Baylor and Texas Tech. It's called the Butt Bowl because put BU and TT. It's butt. Baylor's favored by 14.
Bobby explains spelling versus explains weather and now spelling.
And colors. This is going off the rails big time. So
If Bobby needs a new job, elementary school teacher might be a.
He
perfect-
was learning how to use a clock by figuring out if the night game was an afternoon game.
no, I didn't.
Oh.
I did not figure out how to use a clock. I just said it was a night game because I assumed because it was a Friday.
He just
But,
waited for Blake to look it up. Yeah. That's
Pretty
smart.
much.
That's CEO energy. You know,
Just let someone else do it.
make a weird statement, someone else will figure it out.
Someone else will correct it. Cover your tracks. Look, I think Baylor wins big here. Tech, their performance against Iowa State, I think, was overblown. That Iowa State team was just hemorrhaging at that point, and honestly, I don't think they're all that great. Baylor has something to play for here, big time. Got to win this game for any chance of getting into the Big 12 championship. And I think Dave Aranda and his guys will definitely be up to the challenge at home. They get the 14-point cover, so give me the Bears here. Ty?
Yeah, I like the Bears. I'm surprised that this one is only 14. Honestly, no disrespect to the Red Raiders, but and maybe it's a bias being an OU fan that Baylor beat OU, but I think that Baylor is easily 14 points better than Tech, especially when Tech is coming over from Amarillo to what is it, like Plano or wherever Baylor is.
God.
But we're just gonna keep.
This
I'm
is
gonna
the
keep
dumbest podcast of all time.
expanding that bit. No, well, I say the Amarillo thing for Tech every time. But yeah, I think Baylor is 14 points better, especially at home. And like you said, Bobby, Baylor has something to play for. Baylor has heart, and to tie in Blake as well, Dave Aranda is a very good coach. He arguably is 50% of the reason that LSU had one of the most dominant teams of all time in 2019. The other 50% being Joe Brady. But I love the Bears here. I think it's an easy 14, and I don't think they win it by much more than that, but I think they're comfortably up by that amount of time, or that score for the duration of the game. Because, we look back, like you said, they have something to play for. It's in their eyes, I'm sure, very probable that we lose Bedlam, which is not necessarily a bad take. And, they have that whole thing about kicking that extra kick against us. I think that was about the SEC and just out of spite. But Baylor has heart. Baylor comes out to play, and Baylor has the cojones to really lay it on. So give me the Bears here.
Awesome. Blake?
Yeah, I'm an idiot and didn't look up Gary Bohannon's injury status for this game because I know he went out in the K-State game, but I'm assuming he's a go. But even with the backup quarterback, I just think Baylor's the way more well-rounded team. They have to win this game. They have to win it. I think they'll win it convincingly. We kind of saw, like, Texas Tech, the floor kind of fell out for them last week versus a team that was actually trying and playing really hard for the season. So I just imagine this being kind of a similar type of energy. So give me Baylor. I think this could possibly be Aranda's last game as Baylor's head, or not last game, but last regular season game before we move into possible Big 12 championship or bowl game. But I think he's gone. But give me the Bears.
Fair enough. Jameson?
Yeah, that injury does give me, I'm nervous because what if he doesn't play, and you never know with college injuries, and they really don't release what it is. But Texas Tech did not show us anything last week to be confident about. They were just a one-hit wonder versus Iowa State, and it seems like Oklahoma State found a formula to stop that offense. So give me Baylor in a game that in front of their home fans will be, the last little hoorah to a great season for them.
Absolutely. Let's move on to the game that we all are ready for. And I actually mean it this time. This might be the game of the week. Bedlam. And Oklahoma State is a rare 3.5-point favorite. Traditionally not great against the spread when a favorite. They have not won once since being favored. Actually, no, that's not true. They've only won one game since being favored in the past 10 years. The 2011 game with Justin Blackman and Brandon Whedon. So the Pokes going up against history, OU going up against not being as good of a football team as OSU. Jameson, you start us off. Are going to pull the trigger?
Yeah, I think Oklahoma State's going to win this game and cover. And my reasoning behind that is I understand we were talking about, do we go with, logic or gut feeling with this earlier in the last podcast. Go listen to, we talked for, usually when we do pre-game podcast for the week, we don't talk that much, but we talked a good amount about OU and OSU, what to expect from the game, and kind of just the whole circumstance of the Bedlam rivalry in the future. So go listen to that if you guys haven't already. But I said I'm using my logical sense here. In Oklahoma State, the only way they're going to give up this game if they give it up to us. And they have been playing like one of the most complete teams in the Big 12, if not in the country right now. They have not very many weaknesses. Maybe they don't have extreme strengths on offense, but all in all, they're very, very complete. And that is something that Lincoln Riley is very jealous of and has been wanting the whole year. Even with some highs in OU, we still can't get complete games from all position groups. I think Oklahoma State exposes that. The crowd gets behind it early, and we get into a hole that we can't get out of with a true freshman quarterback. So I'm going to go OSU 3.5.
Fair enough. Blake?
I would be an absolute fraud of a person if I did not choose OSU here. This is the ultimate protect the shield game. If we get the Baylor win in the morning, then an OSU win at night, we have protected the shield. We get two continuing Big 12 members in the Big 12 championship when fraud, OU, and Texas are still in our conference. Send them out with a good parting gift to show we don't need them. Our conference is so strong without them. And this is the ultimate. Draw the line in the sand. We got to do it. It sucks that OSU has to be that team because OU has dominated OSU in this rivalry throughout history. This is not just a recent thing. This is not like an Ohio State, Michigan type situation where, it's Ohio State's just got a little bit better. No, like, OU's dominated, but I've been protecting the Shield for so long. I've been protecting the Shield for years and years and years. And as Bobby was protecting the Shield, he waned off as he's going to a new one. To each his own, but I'm still here defending it. I want future Big 12 members to be in this championship. I don't care if it's Baylor. I don't care if it's OSU. I don't care how bad that matchup is. I want it. I want the good future of the Shield to be in good hands. Give me OSU. Please, dear God, if one game could just go my way this year, let it be this. Let it be this. I will sacrifice a TCU Bowl just to see OU not make a Big 12 championship. That would be awesome. That in this horrible conference that we've had this year that has been so down and so weak and everybody's been bashing it, that OU can't even make it to the finals, that would make it my season totally worth it, regardless of what happens afterwards. I want OSU to win. Please, dear God, Pokes, just reverse course for one time. You could do a state constitutional amendment to allow this game to happen and lose every other time, but please, just let this happen. Please. I need OSU Baylor. I need OSU Baylor Big 12 championship.
Okay. So
after that plea makes me want to change it because that was desperation, man.
No, I want.
It's kind of sad.
I need
kind
it.
of sad.
I need it. But that's what you need with like. I wish it was any other Big 12 team against OU this weekend than OSU. Just the history. The history is hard to overcome. That is hard, but it's gonna happen. I want the tears. I had the best week of my life once OU and UT lost in the same week. And I kind of feel, honestly, in a way it was bad because the OU game got so masked by Texas that I want the individual tears each week. But I love that that's what gives me energy in life these days. It's just the OU sadness.
That's so pathetic. I love it.
Give me ultimate sadness. Give me ultimate sadness. Even if they don't cover it, even if this costs me the Schooner Pod Pick'em contest this year, this one game, if it's a 3-point win, 2-point win, 1-point win, I don't care. Give it to me. I want the sadness.
Blake, you're getting very close to me hitting you with your around the horn like silence button here. So we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on to Ty here. Who do you got?
Yeah, I gotta say, two quick programming notes. One, I was very attentively listening, and I'm so glad that Blake's microphone picked up his finger thumping on his desk because it was such a crucial part, and the listeners, it was like just right, it was like edited audio, how well it was picking it up. It just had just enough bass, and it wasn't overwhelming the mic. So awesome that got picked up just perfectly because it really adds to it. I will say, Blake, I hope that energy really helps you well, I know you have a girlfriend, but at 2 or 3 a.m. at the bar when it's closing and you're just throwing that Hail Mary. You've swapped out your starting quarterback for Spencer Rattler. Then you put your starter back in and you're just throwing a back foot Hail Mary fade.
I thought you were going towards his testosterone and libido for a second. I was like, damn. It's like 9:37 at night.
No, that must be some sort of. That was like a closing time at the bar Hail Mary pickup line. Jameson's got some sort of medical opinion here about Blake's sexual function that
you were talking about energy, and you talked about his girlfriend, and I'm like,
yeah, well, so I didn't want to imply because he is dating someone that he's at bars at closing time trying to Hail Mary find someone to go home with. But anyways, that whole bit has been ruined because people think that everything is being a doctor. But some people can disassociate their careers from their personal lives. I don't associate being a 25-year-old college freshman as my identity. But anyways, all that being said, this is OU OSU, right? And this is potentially the game because I've been kind of keeping quick math track in my head of the picks. This, I think, is the game that wins me my second Schooner Pod Pick'em championship because I went against Bobby and Blake on a previous pick. Jameson's irrelevant. Jameson's not going to win it.
We have a whole other week.
And I went again. I understand that it is, but I'm going to take a dominant lead here by one game and then just never look back. I might get a taunting penalty. I might have to back up the extra point, but I'm going to win it here. And that's by going OU because it's Bedlam. Mike Gundy has played OU. He's a man. He's like 64 now or something. He's played OU like a billion times, and he's won twice. He doesn't win against OU. It doesn't matter. Stillwater is a home game for OU. It is. It might be a little bit more like rough for the fans, but OSU brings like 50,000 people into their stadium. Like 10,000 of them are in boxes with closed seats, so their yelling is not a factor. And then another 1,000 or so are OU fans and the OU band and OU students. It's not a toxic place to play for OU. This is a layup for OU. This is OU's game to lose. I don't care if OSU is favored coming in. You look at our average stats, we've had relatively the same schedule. OU is averaging way more points a game, way more yards a game. We're on paper, in a lot of ways, a better team and traditionally a better team. Give me the Sooners here. Easy. This is going to be embarrassing for the brightest orange in America, as it always is. Bobby, your ball.
Okay. This is hard because every single metric is OSU. It's a bad matchup. The Pokes are coming in riding high. And my thing is, like, if I could point to a single game this season where I could truly point to OU and be like, look, if they played like this, then they can win. I can't point to a single one. Western Carolina doesn't count. OU hasn't put together a complete performance at all this season. And that worries me. I've never seen them do it. If I had seen them do it, I would pick them because this is Bedlam. That's how that happens. But you don't put it together on week 13. It just doesn't happen like that. And Oklahoma State, everything is just coming together. And of course, I'll just put it this way. This would be the biggest choke in OSU history if they lost. If they lost, disband the program. You're never beating OU in any actual meaningful Bedlam game. Just don't play us again because this is their best chance. They have the OU is flawed across the board, hasn't done anything really, and every metric supports the Pokes. They've failed at this position before, but even those OU teams they lost to at least showed me something before that game that made me think they could win. That they had a performance where I was like, yes, they put it together. OU hasn't done that once this season. And I mean, couple that with the crowd, the SEC stuff, that incredible defense of OSU's. I think it's going to be a really long, really difficult, really bad night to be a Sooner. It's going to be sad. I think it's going to be the end of the streak, and it's going to end in an embarrassing just flame, just a disaster of this frustrating season. All the issues are going to be laid bare, and the house is going to collapse because the termites that we've seen the entire time and ignored have eaten the foundation raw. And OSU delivers the poetic final blow. I hate to say it. I hate to put old Yeller down, but I kind of have to. The Sooners lose here, lose their Big 12 streak, and San Antonio bound in the Alamo Bowl. I hate to say it, and I hope I'm completely wrong. I've been wrong on OU this entire season.
Bobby playing the classic reverse.
Noted
jinx
OSU
here.
sleeper agent. He's been activated. Someone said his keyword, and he's been activated.
Like the Winter Soldier or something.
Sleeper agent Bobby has been activated.
I hope I'm wrong. Hopefully OU does something that I've never seen any OU team or any football team do in general, and just be a different football team at the end of the year. But I don't see it. This is a very good Oklahoma State team. I'm just saying. I'm being honest. I'm not trying to reverse jinx. I just think OSU's that good. I really hope I'm wrong because I feel like I'm like No, Bran Stark.
What is
from
this
Game of Thrones.
reverse jinx right here? Are we gonna let him?
Shut up,
just
Blake.
do this?
Is this a hedge?
He's
Is
literally
this
just
a,
like
wait a
hedging?
second. Is this
Not
a
hedging.
hedge?
It's just the hedge.
How's this a hedge?
Bobby just picked OSU. This is a. I mean,
What?
Bobby's
This
a
is
no
a hedge.
OSU fan.
What? How is it a hedge? Like, I'm not going to be happy if OU wins.
You're like, I choose OSU.
No,
I pray
you
to
picked
God it
OSU.
doesn't
You
happen.
picked OSU. That is the definition. Are you going to be happy if OSU
No!
wins? Yes.
I'll
won't be
defend
happy if
Bobby on
OU
this.
wins?
You can want and think different things.
Yeah, I don't. You don't pick with your heart. That's how you lose a bunch of Boko games.
No,
And you,
this
that's
is
how.
a
That's
hedge.
how.
Hey,
This
I
is
thought we
How
were
I
going to make
win
the
all my
episode
wild
again.
cards. I win my wild cards with heart, Bobby. I don't want to hear
Don't pick
This
with
is the
heart.
definition
Don't pick
of
with
an
heart,
emotional
listeners.
hedge. Bobby has emotionally hedged here. Because
How?
Because you picked OSU. Because you're like, oh, I
Hey,
was
so
right.
Ty, I got this argument for you. So does that mean he should homer and pick OU every single time so he never emotionally hedges?
That's literally what he always does, and now he's chosen not to. That's
Because-
why I know it's a hedge.
Because this is the
Yes.
best. This is the best team I've seen OU play all season. I think they're better. They're
Bobby,
obviously
I don't
better than
know.
Baylor. They beat them.
I'm not even gonna say it on air. We'll just continue. I'll say it on air.
Whatever. All right, moving on to the wild card pick. One of our favorite picks of the week. This is tricky, but you know what? There was something that circulated on Twitter today that I thought was really great, but not great because it's kind of bittersweet. A Nebraska fan passed away, and in his obituary, it said, in lieu of flowers, place a unreasonable amount of money on the Nebraska Cornhuskers to beat Iowa. And that he couldn't bear it anymore and just passed away during the bye week. So, you know what? I'm going to roll the Huskers here. Plus 1.5 at home against Iowa. I think they finally break through, get a good win, wrap up this tough season. This Iowa team has been an absolute fraud this season. And just frankly, you know what? I think if Nebraska was to eke out a tough win over anyone, I think it would be Iowa. So give me the Huskers to win this game and prove once and for all that their corn is superior.
All right, so
Blake,
It's going to be really awkward.
Like, what did you have to
whenever
say?
Iowa
You're like,
wins
oh,
handily.
God.
It's just like, I don't, that lead up, you're like, it's good, it's great, but not good. Actually, it's bittersweet, it's bad, but just leading into it, I was like, oh dear God, like, this can't.
Yeah, that not great. Ty, who do you got?
yeah, I don't like lead ups where poor people are. Well, not I don't know if he's poor financially, but I don't like lead ups.
Oh God.
I don't like lead ups where people are dying, man. I'm a tender-hearted person. I can't.
I wasn't thinking about him dying. I just thought it was a funny obituary, and then I was like, oh wait, no,
See,
this
it's
is not
funny
great.
that he
It's no-
died.
It's
He's
not
so
funny
death
that
is
he
funny.
died.
Well, if he didn't die, there wouldn't be an obituary. So inherently, his death is funny.
I realize the flaw now. Ty.
Maybe Iowa can do a wave towards the graveyards.
Oh God! Can we stop talking about the dead Nebraska fan?
Anyways,
Oh my God!
I'm allowed to make that joke. I'm a 2-time cancer survivor. Actually, no joke.
That's
Very
actually not a
serious.
joke.
So I am allowed to make jokes about cancer. Anyways, that's how it works. So, change of pace. Egg Bowl, we talked about storylines because as lifelong fans of the Schooner Pod, which is exactly like 0 people know, Ty has lived in a lot of places. 2 of those places, or that Mississippi was one of those places. But there's some other places that are in there. Florida, Oklahoma, obviously the majority of the time. North Carolina is one. Am I going to pick UNC versus NC State? Absolutely not. I'm not going to touch that one with a 10-foot pole, and I don't think anyone should either. But 2 other places that I have lived and kind of know some people and have some experience are Wisconsin and Minnesota. That's right. We're picking garbage Big Ten football. These teams could not be more equal statistically, which is weird because Wisconsin had a lot of hype coming in, as they always do. I feel like Wisconsin always has good runs in the early season and then just disappoints. Minnesota has had some decent years for them in the past traditionally, and then kind of disappointed. So Wisconsin coming in number 15, 8-3, 6-2 in the conference. Minnesota coming in 7-4, 5-3 in the conference, but they're averaging within a half a point of each other in points per game, within 2 points of each other in points allowed, and then relatively close in yards and then yards allowed as well. So Wisconsin obviously is the favorite, -7 here. They're playing at Minnesota. Is weather a factor? Might kick that over to Bobby to determine that one. But I like the Wisconsin Badgers in this one. They're favored by 7. They're not really that electric of an offense, but neither team is. They're averaging right around 27 points a game for both of them. But I like the Badgers here because they're picking the favorites, name a more classic tie move. But I think they have this one here because they control time of possession much better than Minnesota does. So even though they're going over to the Twin Cities to play, give me the Badgers in Wisconsin versus Minnesota. I wouldn't recommend betting this one because I have been terrible at wild cards. And I definitely would not recommend watching this one because it's garbage Big Ten football. But that is my wild card for this week.
Blake is fading you. Why is that, Blake?
Because he's talking about all this. This is garbage, Big Ten ball, garbage.
It is it not garbage?
No, Minnesota actually has a chance to make the Big Ten championship this week. They need some things to happen, but this game has like very interesting Big Ten title implications on who goes to that game. Because obviously Wisconsin wins, they're in. Iowa, if they win, they're in with the Wisconsin loss, and then Minnesota can still get in if they beat Wisconsin, and Iowa loses and Purdue wins. So there is a run.
It is an interesting storyline. That doesn't mean that the game is not going to be just atrocious to watch. Like a 4-hour long, 2 yards per play, just terrible, sloppy game.
Or the games, whenever you have a run, it typically goes quicker, not slower.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true.
No, Big Ten finds a way. Big Ten finds a way to somehow run every down and also have 5-hour games.
It'll go 10 overtime.
It's that Legends. It's that Legends versus
Leaders.
Whatever else. Leaders
versus Legends.
Magic.
Yeah. All right, Blake. Who's your pick?
I'm going pure spite, like Jameson brought out earlier. Screw San Diego State and their football program and everything associated with that city. I hate them. I hate the fact that they're going to be the team this year that represents the Mountain West, possibly, in this. But we have hope. The final hope, Boise State, -3. They are a road favorite, which is not good. You usually never want to bet on small road favorites. But look, screw San Diego State. Screw this program. They're boring to watch. Not good for the Mountain West long-term longevity. The Mountain West football is interesting, okay? They are in a good spot, and San Diego State is single-handedly ruining it by barely winning games by 1 or 2 with their boring offense, their good defense, but boring offense. I hate it. I hate it so much. Boise State hasn't been electric this year, not going to lie, but I cannot stand to see in my conference, my bandwagon conference, San Diego State to be representing the Mountain West, who I thought my Nevada Wolfpack was going to be there. I can't stand it. I'd rather see Fresno there. I had the win future on them already cashed, but I would rather see Jake Hagener, a true ambassador of the Mountain West Conference, be in that final game instead of stinky Brady Hoke and his San Diego State Aztecs. I don't want them anywhere near the Mountain West Championship, wherever they play that game. I have no idea. But give me Boise State, the points. I need this. This is another game I need because I cannot have San Diego State. Trash program, trash school, never been there, but just horrible. I hope they get relegated to D3 athletics at the end of the year. Horrible in school.
Okay, yeah. The Mountain West Championship varies by the year depending on, I think, record, but it's one of those.
It might be. Yeah, it might be whoever, like, best record of the two gets the. That makes sense. Actually, that actually
something
really
like
makes
that.
sense. Yeah,
but you're right. You got to defend TCU's ancestral home, the Mountain West. So, anyways,
And several
Jameson,
home is just a long way to say future.
Screw San Diego State.
I love it.
Seriously,
I
like,
almost picked San Diego State, honestly, just to spite you, just for no reason.
do it, Bobby. I will gift you my take back this year if you want to
Just
choose
get
the
him,
other
just
side.
to get him worked up.
No, I'm not going to take it back, mainly because I just went on this whole thing about how I was trying to honor this dead man I accidentally disrespected.
Did you?
And then
Yeah, I
you
was
didn't
like,
even honor him because you went against him.
No, I went with him. He was a Nebraska fan.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, no, I went with Nebraska. So, anyways, enough about the dead man. Jameson, who are you going with?
Okay, so Blake's now going with Boise, who he wants him to beat a team that he has spite against. I've done the same thing, Blake. Be careful what you do, because they might come and last second backdoor cover you and hurt you deep down, and then you continue to spite. Never use spite in wild cards. I should have known it last week. I said it, and I said, you know what? I've never done well with emotion, and I usually ride the wave a little too long. So hop back off, and I need to use my brain. But at the same time, I really enjoy the wild card, picking something a little bit crazy because it just makes it fun. And if I lose, so be it. So I really want to just pick something nasty. So you want to hear the nastiest game of the weekend, and I want to hop on and see what happens. Give me Florida -2 versus Florida State.
oh no!
Oh my God, that is such a dirty, sweaty. That is
No,
If Swamp Ass was a
say that.
football game, it would be that.
You can't say that. You spent several weeks talking about a fired coach bump, like weird ass conspiracy theory, on several different games, Bob.
And maybe that's why
can.
I'm doing it.
That's true.
Classic
There is
Future
a fire-
pod contradicting itself as always.
But tell me that game is just the nastiest game ever. There's no logic in it. There's
UNC
no
versus
statistics.
NC State is the nastiest one this week.
No, because that actually has implications.
No, because that one has a big line.
It's 6.5. I think it's
Okay, you guys freak out when I say 3.5 is not a big line.
I like that. I like that though, Jameson, mainly because of one thing that there's one thing that Florida can pull out of its pocket to really get this thing wild. Steve Spurrier works in the athletic department. Bring Spurrier down, and Andy Staples brought this up on his show. Bring Spurrier in. Let's get weird with it, and maybe bring some life back to the swamp.
They just lost to Missouri, who's an embarrassment of a team, the SEC. They're pretty down right now, but guess what? They've got a new leader, a new coach, and they got the toxic out of it. And if they win this game, they go into bowl season. That's enough for an interim coach to get the guys going, get them moving.
They don't care
Let's
about
go.
bowl season. When has Florida
my
cared about bowl
goodness.
season ever? If it's not the college football playoff, which they never go to,
Whenever-
they like.
I completely agree.
I remember Blake being the biggest Florida fan when they had that active shooter as their quarterback.
Oh God, no, no.
His name's AR.
He's gonna transfer. Like he might honestly be the tech. What happens if Texas takes AR-15 and then beats
I think
OU next
when
year with
yours-
it? That would be a nice Shakespearean drama right there.
Oh God. Ugh, I don't like it. Jameson, any final thoughts on Florida?
No, I like picking teams that are just a little bit crazy in the wild card because it makes it more fun. If I pick the logical games where I actually think, like I almost picked Cincinnati over Eastern Carolina just because I like what they showed last week, and I think they're just rounding into form to get those final style points. But I want something more fun, so let me watch some trash.
I love it. Trash is fun. We at the Scooter Pod are a big proponent of trash, as we put it out to you basically every week. So, anyway, I'm kidding. I like what we do. We do good stuff. But anyways, that was the weekend spread, our final edition before the regular season. I feel good about my spread. I'm sure y'all do as well. But before we go, I gotta ask how we feel about some feast week action with college basketball. I don't know. I'm loving it already. I'm ready to dig in and just watch a lot more of this any live sports during the day is the best. So, Blake, do you have any tasty treats on the slate?
Yeah. So okay, what we are looking at. So I watched the Maui Invitational today. Butler just ripped my heart out again 2 times this year. Tried to bet him against Michigan State, laid an egg, laid a huge egg versus Houston, who I always just think like is in my mind will always just be a fraud basketball team. They always have a high ranking, but they never do anything with it, and nobody puts pressure on them because the fact that they're Houston and they have like some basketball success. But we got Jim Dixon and the boys going against Santa Clara tonight. A close spread, hopefully a loss. As a new coach comes into TCU, I gotta direct my efforts to another one of my enemies and try to force him out to get a new coach. But yeah, college basketball season is really shaping up. I think we get another great season where we have some teams at the top that I think are well-rounded, like Gonzaga, obviously going to be number 1, UCLA number 2, but we have a lot of good teams this year. So I'm really excited. We'll definitely have to do some sort of preview or something for the Big 12. We got the other bean. We got the Utah bean.
Utah State
last night
took out OU.
Upsetting OU, which was nice. I was the one that introduced everybody to the other bean, and he did the captain's work last night, let's just say. So
did you know he was from Moore? I didn't know he was from Moore,
I
Oklahoma.
did.
Okay,
that's the only reason why I found him was because of that.
Fair enough. Jameson, you like any teams out there in college basketball?
I love UCLA's team, and I'm really excited to watch them versus Gonzaga tomorrow night. I'm going to make an effort, to watch that game because my favorite player in college basketball, Jaime Jaquez. I love me some Jaime Jaquez. Whenever he came into the season, in the middle of the season last year, I watched his first game just on a whim. I was just happened to be watching UCLA, and I was like, dude, I love this guy. He's got good footwork, great fundamentals, a great mustache, and he doesn't wear my number 4 anymore, and with a name like Jaime, how can I not get behind him? So that's going to be a fun game. If they can put the locks on Timmy, which is going to be really hard for UCLA, that's going to be a fun game. Because I'll say this, Blake, what Johnny Juzang, I think he's kind of hot and cold on me because I feel like he's very streaky and he could go like 2 for 12 in this game. Honestly.
Yeah, that's the problem I think with UCLA, that people are gonna they fell in love with this team in March, and then obviously the Villanova results, and they could play it close tomorrow, but they're gonna have some nasty losses this year just because of that fact that their team is very streaky, and people will be like, Pac-12 trash, this team's such a fraud. But UCLA is a very, very good team. They just they're kind of streaky like that, but also that's kind of what you might want versus really talented teams like Gonzaga. Obviously tomorrow, important game, but even later on in March, you kind of want that ability that sometimes you're just so hot that you can't be touched when it activates at the right time. But I love that game's gonna be so good. I love me some Chet.
Oh yeah, we know you're a big Chet guy.
They're gonna have some trouble with that size. I'll say that much.
For sure. Ty, you have any men's basketball stuff?
Friends, listeners, countrymen, lend me your ears. It is rare when I make a basketball reference or comment at all. I like to go out when I'm high on it. I made a really good Marshall Henderson reference a couple weeks ago. Don't remember the context, but basketball. I'm telling you guys, it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge this year.
Politics!
Navy men's basketball, right? They cracked open their season. Everybody knows Navy, my number 2 school, in terms of fandom, all sports. Cracked open their season with a win against Virginia, who is the best team on their schedule this year. They've had a close loss against Vautech and then another close loss against Louisville, but they are poised to make a
close loss. It's 17 points
in basketball. Okay, 17 points in basketball could be achieved in a minute of play. It can. That's not unrealistic.
It can technically.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that's not that bad, right? 17 points. So I guess 20 against Vautech and then 17 against Louisville. Not that close, but they have not that great of a schedule going forward. I think they're going to have a really solid season when it comes to the win-loss. So I implore everyone to, if you see it on your sort of, TV schedule or whatever, turn it on if they're on there. I doubt they are regularly, but they should finish with a pretty decent record and make some good appearances if they get some invites anywhere. So don't sleep on Navy. They're potentially a basketball school this year. Well, not potentially, because football, they've really disappointed us. But yeah, I got to give a pitch for my mids whenever I can.
There you go. Shout out college basketball, everyone. All right, well, that was Weekend Spread. We hope you have a great Thanksgiving, a great just final week of regular season, and we will see you next week for Championship Week picks. I already can't wait. Till then, good luck out there and happy picking.